Breaking news for millions of Americans. Your next payment could be about to change, and if you're not prepared, you might miss an opportunity that could make a real difference for your household budget. Discussions are once again heating up in Washington around possible direct payments for working families, payments that could reach as high as $2,000 per person if new proposals move forward. Now, before anyone gets too excited or worried, let's be clear, nothing is approved yet. These are policy ideas still being debated, but they could shape what happens to your wallet in the coming months. So if you depend on federal benefits or fixed income to keep up with rent, groceries, or gas, this is information you'll definitely want to hear. And don't worry, you're in the right place. This channel is built to help everyday Americans stay informed, understand what government programs really mean, and plan ahead with confidence. We break things down clearly and calmly without the political noise. So before we dive in, take a quick second to subscribe. Not for me, but so you never miss important financial updates that could affect your household. My name is Maria Turner. I've spent more than 10 years tracking federal benefits, Social Security changes, and stimulus policy updates. I work with advocacy groups that help retirees, veterans, and working families understand where their payments come from and what new legislation means for them. According to data from the U.S. Treasury, over 165 million Americans have received some form of economic relief payment since 2020. And in the past few weeks, public discussion has started again around new payments of up to $2,000. One idea being talked about involves using part of the revenue the United States collects from import tariffs, basically, taxes on goods coming into the country. These revenues are already flowing into the federal budget, and some policymakers have suggested returning a small portion of that money to citizens as a rebate. At the same time, several members of Congress, both Republicans and Democrats, have discussed the need for additional financial support for middle and lower-income Americans dealing with higher costs of living. The point here isn't about politics. It's about whether new relief efforts could realistically happen, and what that would look like for you if they did. Now, imagine this. You're checking your bank account before paying rent, hoping for that deposit to arrive. News headlines say payments are on the table, but no one explains when or how they'd appear. That uncertainty can be stressful. And it's exactly why understanding the process and what's official versus what's still being proposed matters so much. Because during previous rounds of stimulus, millions of people waited weeks, even months, for payments that came later than expected. Some never arrived at all because addresses or bank information weren't up to date. The result? Missed bills, overdrafts, and endless confusion. Look, I get it. When you're counting on that money to keep food on the table, any delay feels devastating. That's why clarity matters more than speculation. So let's focus on facts. Here's what's actually happening. Over the past few months, several media outlets, including Fox News, Newsweek, and One America News, have reported that discussions about a new round of checks are resurfacing in policy circles. The suggested amount varies between $1,000 and $2,000 per adult. These would not be stimulus payments in the pandemic sense, but rather a one-time rebate linked to tariff revenue or other federal funds. The idea sounds technical, but here's the simple version. When U.S. companies import goods from abroad, they pay tariffs to the federal government. Those payments add up. More than $30 billion were collected in September alone. Some policymakers have floated the idea of taking a fraction of that money and redistributing it directly to American taxpayers, essentially returning part of what consumers indirectly pay through higher prices. Still, nothing like that can happen without congressional approval. That means even if a proposal gains attention, it must go through committees, budget scoring, and multiple votes before becoming law. There's no guarantee any payment will be issued. To understand the potential impact, let's look at what happened in the past. Between 2020 and 2021, 3 rounds of economic impact payments were sent out. Each one required weeks of planning, system testing, and data coordination between the Treasury and IRS. The average delivery time from authorization to deposit was about 18 days, but many waited longer. That history shows how complex large-scale payment programs really are. Now, I want to share something personal. My own mother has been retired for 8 years, living on a modest Social Security check. Last month, her grocery bill was almost 40% higher than what she used to pay. She called me and said, "Michael, I'm not looking for handouts. I just want things to feel normal again." That hit me hard, because that's what so many families are saying right now. Not, "Give me more," but "Help me catch my breath." If a rebate or relief payment eventually happens, it could give families like hers a little breathing room, the ability to cover food, medicine, or utilities without panic. That's what these discussions are really about: stability, not politics. And since we're talking about being prepared, let me pause to remind you, staying subscribed and engaged here is like building a safety net of information. Every week, we track verified government updates, break them down in plain English, and show you what actions you can take today, not next month. Think about it. Wouldn't it feel better knowing you'll always hear the truth about payments and benefits the moment they're confirmed? That's what we do. So let's go deeper. If any new payment program were approved, here's how it would likely work. First, Congress would authorize the funding through a specific relief or rebate act. Then, the Treasury Department would coordinate with the IRS to distribute the payments electronically or by mail. If you've received tax refunds or Social Security deposits before, those same systems would probably handle this as well. Eligibility would depend on income, just like past relief programs. Most previous thresholds cut off around $75,000 for individuals or $150,000 for couples, with reduced amounts for higher earners. People receiving Social Security, SSI, SSDI, or VA benefits were generally included. If that structure repeats, millions of retirees and low-income households could qualify automatically. But, and this is crucial, accurate information is everything. During past rounds, around 9 million eligible Americans missed their checks simply because their records weren't current. So, if you've moved, changed your bank, or haven't filed taxes in recent years, take a few minutes to update your information with the IRS or the Social Security Administration. You can do it safely through their official websites, not through third-party links. Here's my advice, learned from years of helping people through these updates. If you ever receive an unexpected payment, treat it responsibly. Set aside a portion for essentials: housing, food, utilities, medical costs. Don't rely on a one-time payment to solve ongoing financial stress, but do use it to reduce immediate pressure. Also, be careful. Every time these stories surface, scam attempts increase. Fraudsters send fake emails or texts claiming to verify your eligibility. They might ask for your Social Security number, bank details, or even a small processing fee. Real government agencies will never do that. If something sounds off, it probably is. Report suspicious messages to the Federal Trade Commission or IRS Fraud Center. Now, let's zoom out for a moment and look at why this conversation keeps coming back. Whenever living costs rise faster than wages, policymakers revisit direct payments as one possible form of relief. It's not a perfect solution. Some economists warn that broad checks can fuel inflation if they're too large or mistimed. Others argue that targeted support for low-income households strengthens communities and boosts spending power where it's most needed. Whatever side you're on, one thing is certain: understanding the process helps you make better decisions for your family. Banks, payment processors, and federal agencies follow fixed schedules. Deposits don't post on weekends or holidays. Congressional approvals take time. Knowing these details prevents panic and protects you from false rumors. This isn't about blaming anyone. It's about recognizing how the system works and staying one step ahead. Every year or two, we see a similar pattern: a new proposal, a public debate, weeks of speculation, and finally either a vote or silence. The cycle repeats, and people are left guessing. But when you understand that rhythm, you can prepare calmly. Look, I know some of you are tired of hearing about potential payments that may or may not happen. That frustration is valid, but staying informed is still your best defense. Because if something does pass, those who already understand the rules will be first in line to benefit. So here's what you can do right now, today. Number 1, keep your financial contact details current. Number 2, maintain a simple budget that includes a small emergency buffer. And number 3, rely only on verified sources. Government press releases, major news networks, or official agency statements. That's how you stay protected from misinformation. If new payments are approved, you'll see them announced publicly through treasury.gov, irs.gov, and credible media outlets. You won't have to guess or chase rumors. I know this entire topic can feel exhausting. People are worried about the future, about debt, about whether they'll be able to afford the basics. But here's the encouraging truth. Information is power. When you understand what's happening, fear turns into preparation. So let me ask you something. What would it mean for you if you never had to wonder again whether your benefit or relief payment was arriving? Imagine waking up and knowing exactly what to expect because you had clear, verified guidance instead of speculation. That's what this community is here to provide: clarity, stability, and peace of mind. So go ahead and subscribe now, not because it helps this channel, but because it helps you. It keeps you one step ahead, armed with facts instead of rumors. The bottom line is simple. Discussions about possible $1,000 to $2,000 relief payments are real. They're happening across party lines, but nothing is finalized. No checks are being sent right now. Everything depends on what Congress and the Treasury decide in the coming months. Until then, stay calm, stay informed, and protect yourself from misinformation. I'll continue to track official announcements and share updates once they're confirmed. Take care of yourself, take care of your loved ones, and remember, financial security starts with knowledge. Stay ready, stay patient, and stay hopeful. Because even in uncertain times, preparation always pays off.